Hello everybody, welcome back to the NBA Sportscast, and today I have my NBA power rankings for this last week and a half, I guess, because it really was basically like a 2-week stretch. We haven't done one in a while, so it's just me today. I have my full power rankings to have a lot of insight on the teams. This will be maybe the best power rankings we have, and so let's get right into it. We have a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of teams to talk about, and yeah, a lot of stuff's happened in the NBA since then. I know we got All-Stars announced, and go check out that video if you want to see who won there. Let's start off with number 30, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Man, this team has sucked so badly, underperformed at such a high level because the Minnesota Timberwolves should have, they have a bright future if you think about it. They have, Cat is still pretty young. D'Angelo Russell can turn it around and still be young. If you think about it, Okogie and Culver and Naz Reid, 3 young players that can all be good. Jaden McDaniels' potential is through the roof. He could be a very, very solid player for this team in the near future. And then they also have some veterans. So this team, and they have... And of course, I forgot about their man, number 1 overall pick in the draft, Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man. He's playing super, super solid over there, and he might be the key to their future, him and Cat, and D'Lo. That could be a big 3 in 2-3 years, but D'Lo's got to stay healthy, Cat's got to stay healthy, and they got to really turn around soon. And yeah, Cat's had injuries, he came back, and they've still sucked. So they're 7-22, that's why they're number 30. The Detroit Pistons, Drummond might get traded. We know that he's not playing anymore, and they're 1-9 in their last 10 after starting off 10-11 or 9-11. Now they're 10-19. Horrible finish. Colin Sexton's cooled down quite a bit. He's came down to earth. He's still averaging about 20 games. Pretty solid numbers from Colin, but they have a great young core. They're in a solid rebuild right now. Jared Allen can be coming to be that starter once Drummond goes, and they have a future, but it's not yet. Garland, Okoro, Sexton, Allen, that's a great young core, but you really got to start getting some veterans to build around it, and you're still 2 years away, in my opinion. Moving on, we have the Kevin Love as well. We don't know what's going to happen there. He could be a veteran that could stay, but I don't see them making a trade with him because just the contract is insane. Number 27 is the Orlando Magic. They are 11-18. Still sucks since Markelle went out. They beat the Knicks, though, last night, and they've been better of late. They beat the Bulls, but this team still is 11-18, and they're only 1 win since Markelle Fultz, or 2 wins since Markelle Fultz went out, which just sucks. Markelle's playing such good basketball. Fournier and Vucevic, or mostly Vucevic, is playing best basketball of his career, my bad. Fournier and Ross have stepped up a little bit, and Cole Anthony's been really inefficient, so he hasn't really filled the role of Markelle like they've hoped. I know last episode I think I said that he did. He definitely has not. After watching some Magic games this week, more intently than normal. Moving on, number 26. This is a surprising one. They're 9-17. It's the Washington Wizards. Now they're on a 3-game win streak. They're 5-5 in the last 10. They kind of turned it around, sort of. But this is not saying they're going to be a playoff team. This is saying that they're not the bottom feeders anymore. They're trying to crawl back in to maybe that play-in game in the Eastern Conference. Because this is a terrible Eastern Conference team. They could still put together some wins and go back into that 10 or 9 spot and play their way into the playoffs. They can fight their way into the playoffs, and they can maybe win a game down the stretch here. And that's the thing I could see them doing. They have Bradley Beal, all-star starters, playing great basketball, averaging 35 a game nearly. Westbrook puts up triple-doubles. Hasn't really been great, though. His efficiencies are up and down. Can't hit the 3-ball at all, but he's putting up the numbers, just not really backing it up. Now, Hachimura and Avdija are going to be big pieces, so is Davis Bertans after having a 32-point game last night to turn the success around for this team. And, I think if they don't win this year, Beal should request a trade next year. I'm sorry. I want to see him go to a contender, and I know he wants to stay in Washington, but I just don't see why, Bradley. I'm sorry. I just don't see why. Moving on to number 25, it's the Algoma City Thunder. They're 11-17. They have a very, very great young core. Shea's injured the last couple games. Without Shea, they beat the Bucks. Took the Lakers to OT twice. And they've had a lot of fight in them. At the end of the day, they're rebuilding. But this team is super scrappy, young fighting team. Hamidou Diallo comes out to ball every night. And Al Horford's playing way better. Maybe the best basketball towards... No. What am I saying? Boston was his best basketball of his career. But he's playing good basketball. And Atlanta. Atlanta was the best basketball of his career. And then Boston. He's playing good basketball of his career, though. Stepping up again. And you guys like Darius Bazley starting the lineup. Isaiah Roby starting the lineup. You have... Teo Maledon, Pokusevski, all these young guys that are going to be your future, plus your draft picks. If they keep getting playing time, this team could develop faster than normal, and this is just a good sign to see OKC in their rebuild. Now, I hate OKC, but Sam Presti did it right over there. He did it right over there. All right, moving on. Number 24. It's the Houston Rockets. They're 11-17. Since the Christian Wood injury, they're now 0-8 after losing last night to the Sixers in a tough loss. Wall and Oladipo need a third star, and that's inevitable. Oladipo's now got COVID, and they just couldn't sustain the play. Without Christian Wood, they lost to the Hornets, the Pels, the Knicks, the Heat, the Wizards. Oh, man, this team is just... And now the Sixers, this team is just... they look so good without Harden. They were going to prove a point they can win the games without James Harden. But nope. They come out, they go an 0-8 stretch, now 11-17. bottom of the Western Conference, tied with the Thunder. Moving on, number 23, it's 12-16 Pelicans. Zion is shooting the best efficiency of his entire, maybe ever. He might get the best efficiency of all time. Yeah, they struggle, but they're still in the hunt. These last couple spots, especially now with the 10 and 9 spots being available for playoffs, they're right there in the playoff hunt. They're 5-5 in the last 10. They've won a couple in these last couple games, and they have a ton of bad losses. Like teams like the Pistons and the Bulls and the Mavs. Like you can't be like the Mavs is okay, but the Pistons and the Bulls, those are inexcusable games, and that's why at number 22 I have the Bulls ahead of them. But let's continue to go on the Pelicans. Eric Bledsoe does not want to be there. He doesn't want to play. Lonzo Ball's increased the trade value so very much, and I think maybe you keep Lonzo Ball now and see if he can get his team to a playoff game with Lonzo as your starting point guard. Maybe you try to flip Eric Bledsoe now. He wants out, it seems like. He just does not feel like he wants to be there. He just doesn't have the motivation to play every night. Steven Adams going down with a little injury against Portland. They also lost to Portland last night as well, and I don't know. I'm not sure what this team's ceiling is. It's probably a 10 seed or 9 seed and a borderline playoff team, and that's what it'll end up being, or be below playoffs. And like I said, the number 22 is the Chicago Bulls. They're now 12-16. Levine is playing like an all-star. People wanted him to be a starter. I said no. He should be a backup for sure. I think I might have actually left him off the video, and I can't believe I did that, man. I cannot believe it. I might need to redo that video, bro. That was a mistake. That was a big mistake. But Zach LaVine is dropping like nearly 30 a game. I just call him Kobe. Kobe White's been the 3-point specialist. Yeah, he has almost shooting 35% from the field, but he's had games where he shot the ball 44% and stuff like that, and he's been pretty clutch. Yeah, he's pretty inconsistent still. He can get that better, though. Pat Williams is playing like Kawhi Leonard these last couple games. His defense is insane. If he can develop this offense into a real threat, this man could be worth the number 4 pick in the draft. Like, people call it a reach, but this ended up could being a good pick and something no one expected. Playing great is Larry Markin, but they just can't close the game. That's the problem. But they are 4-2 in the last 6. They really turned it around. If they can just start figuring out how to close the games, then this team could actually be dangerous and maybe make a playoff run. They're right there in a seat for the playoffs. Number 21, same thing, the Atlanta Hawks, 12-16. Trae Young has finally stepped it up. 40 points last night, 3 for 7 in the last 10, though. They've lost 3 to 7 in the last 10, which does suck. But Trae Young had 40 and 70% from the field last night with 8 assists. This man has been balling, and he's really kind of carried this team to a playoff spot. John Collins, they did not extend his contract, so he probably will get traded or he'll walk in the free agency. And this is maybe it's a good sign, but another problem is Cam Reddish has been so inconsistent. You wasted a first-round pick, or top 10 pick on him, which so far looks like it's not going to pay off. And that's going to be the deciding factor in the Luca Doncic Trae Young talks at the end of his career. How good can Cam Reddish be? And he's got to step it up for this team and be a real starting caliber shooting guard, which he starts, but he's just not there. And DeAndre Hunter being out does suck. He's been played super, super great. And then because of this, he's lost to the Knicks, the Spurs, the Mavs, the Patriots, teams you could be beating if you really are a contending team. Because you guys were above 500 at a time, and now you have fallen to, you guys were 9-9, and now you've fallen to 12-16, which sucks to see. Number 20, it's the Sacramento Kings. De'Aaron Fox, my guy De'Aaron Fox, is a top 7 point guard in my eyes. He's number 7 probably. He's averaging, they're 5-5 in the last 10, but before these 2 straight losses, they were on a 4-game win streak. So they gained 2 games this week, and they're now 13-15, and they're in a playing game at the moment as you speak. They're at the 10 seed. I think they're tied with Dallas and the 10 seed, and they're there. If they keep fighting, maybe you flip healed or badly, but probably not. Maybe you just keep the squad together. If Fox, Halliburton keeps developing to a Rookie of the Year candidate, you could be a team that makes seeks into the playoffs. And if De'Aaron can pop up in the playoffs, maybe you get into the actual game and you get to go against LA. You could be an upset alert, but that's probably their ceiling. But they really have stepped it up a lot this week, which is I love to see the Kings play a little bit better basketball. Number 19 is the New York Knicks. I know they're the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, but I don't see them actually being a 6th seed. Randall is an all-star. Julius Randle played great basketball. I know people say that he should be an all-star. I agree, he probably should be an all-star, but I think they could be frauds still. They're 14-16. Remember back in 2018 when the Charlotte Hornets were in the 8th seed, started off the whole entire year, and they fell out? That's, I think, what this Knicks team could end up being. And now, they did trade for Derrick Rose, who is a great mentor to Emmanuel Quickly, and I don't get why they're starting Elfrid Payton when you have these other 2 great point guards here. But Payton hasn't been playing terrible, but just not great. They're 5-5 in the last 10, dropping some tough games to Magic, Heat, and Bulls, so there is some problems to be addressed, but if you just stick around this 500 mark or a game below, you will be in the playoffs, as that's all you really care about as of now. Make the playoffs in this not very loaded Eastern Conference, and you can be fine. You can be a basketball team. Number 18, the Miami Heat. Yes, they have a much worse record, 11-16. But I think the ceiling is much higher than the Heat for the Knicks. Now, Jimmy Butler is back from COVID after last week, and they haven't had COVID now. You have Avery Bradley. They kind of turned it around. 5 from the last 10. They were in a little 3-game win streak, but now they lost to the Wizards last night. Hornets, Clippers, or they lost to the Warriors last night. They lost to the Wizards before. Hornets, Clippers, Jazz are all tough games, but they were on a 4-game win streak, actually. Not even 3, 4, before 2 straight losses. And I feel like teams have figured out Duncan Robinson and their shooters because they know they're going to kick corners every single time, and Tyler Hero's had to run the point guard role to get his own shot now. He has to be a shot creator because teams figured out what they're going to do. And Jimmy Butler and Bam have both been playing great. Butler has 2 triple-doubles, but Bam's been a defensive factor, but maybe there's been talks about a Drummond trade. I would say no. Don't trade for Drummond. That would ruin your entire floor spacing. Keep the team how it is, but maybe make a minor trade for another shooter or another primary ball handler because Dragic injured, Bradley's been injured, and Tyler Hero is your point guard at the moment. So that's the one thing I'd say. 11-16, you need a guy like Jay Crowder back. That was a tough loss. Achua should be your backup center, and he's been playing good basketball. That's one bright spot there. 11-16. Moving on, number 17. It's the Charlotte Hornets, 13-15. They're 6-4 in the last 10. They're 6-3 since LaMelo Ball started. LaMelo Ball has been playing absolutely great basketball in the starting lineup, helping this team win. He's been dishing out the assists, and he's averaging 14 points a game, which is really, really solid. Gordon Hayward is playing great. You could even argue he's an all-star. And this 3-guard lineup they've run the last 2 games with Devontae, Rozier, and Ball all in the starting lineup. They may be a sneaky playoff team. They can really pull this off with Hayward and then Cody Zeller or Bismack Biyombo. And they beat the T-Wolves, they beat the Rockets, they beat the Heat. But they did lose a couple tough games to they didn't lose any tough games, but they lost to the good teams they've played, like the Philly, Utah, and Spurs. So they're beating the bad ones and losing to the good ones. That's a fine philosophy if you're going to be a borderline playoff team. But I think really if you want to make a deep run, you got to start winning some of these games against the good teams and the bad teams. But that's okay. You've really turned it around since LaMelo's been in the lineup, and you've been playing great basketball. And I love to see the young guys, Bridges, Washington catching some lobs, Rozier is playing great, Grant's playing great, LaMelo's playing great. Number 16 is the Toronto Raptors. Now they beat the Bucks, moves up to 14-15. This team has really turned it around. They're now 7-3 in their last 10. They turned it around 100%. Siakam and Lowry are balling. They had no Lowry tonight. They beat the Bucks. Giannis fouled out, and Van Vliet is solid. OG's back and playing absolutely great. OG Anunoby's been balling out this season when he's healthy, and that's a really, really big return for them. And maybe you do trade for Drummond. There's talks about trading for Drummond, but I think maybe you keep it how it is. You turned it around. Chris Boucher's been a super, super, super solid starting caliber center. You beat the Nets. You beat the Bucks twice. You beat the Grizz. You did lose the Timberwolves, which is a tough loss, Celtics and Hawks, but you really are right there now. You're now, 6th in the Eastern Conference, which is really, really huge after starting at the bottom of the East, which is, I love to see them turn it around, and I love to see Malachi getting some late minutes today in the game because Lowry's out and he moved up from the G League. But yeah, he's been balling in the G League. Love to see it. Number 15 is the Memphis Grizzlies at 12-12. Blowout. No, they won last night, so 13-12. A blowout loss to the Pels. Ja is playing good, but not great. Like his numbers are there, but the inefficiencies is there. He's not very consistent. I think he was last year. He's still a great passer, but he really has to step up and be this MVP type player that we think he could be in the future, and he's got to start it now to make a playoff run here. But the role players have been great. Kyle Anderson, Slomo's been huge. Dylan Brooks, when he's been healthy, he's been fine, or without COVID. Once you get Jaren Jackson Jr. back, that'll be another huge addition. Brandon Clark's been good as of late. You really are stepping it up a lot better now, and you're 13-12. And you beat the Kings, beat the Hornets, beat the Thunder, beat Spurs. A lot of teams are all kind of around you were contending. But then you lost to the Lakers, which, I don't expect you to win that game. But then Pels and Rockets, 2 kind of tough losses there if you're going to be a playoff team. Number 14 is the Dallas Mavericks. Luca, Doncic, and the Dallas, 13-15. Luca's playing great. Somehow he became an all-star starter over Dame. I don't know how that happened. Fans, you're dumb for voting for Luca over Dame. I already made a video on it. Go check that one out if you guys want to see it. But blowout lost to the Pels. Or no. They blew out the Pels. Luca played 47 points. KP turned it around. He's hitting threes. He's basically a small forward. I know I'm copying King in the fourth quarter, but he plays like a small forward in a center's body. He just pulls up in half court. That's what Kristaps Porzingis does. They have 6 straight wins before. They had 6 straight wins before dropping games to Portland. But they really are starting to turn around. They're 13-15, and they're there in the Western Conference. They're the 11 or 9. They're either tied for 9 or tied for 10. One of those 2 spots, and they're right there. They're playing good basketball. They finally stepped it around. And I was waiting for this from the Dallas Mavericks. We all thought they were going to be a playoff team. Luka could be an MVP. Luka's putting up great numbers, but the team's not winning too many games. I don't think he's really in the MVP competition as of now. Number 13 is the Boston Celtics, 14-14. This is a huge drop from last week. They've sucked in this week and a half stretch. JT struggled. Kevin Walker, since his return, has been pretty bad. Really, he hasn't had efficient at all. LeBron fadeaway, bang. Holy moly, LeBron James, that's what he does. Doesn't matter. Kemba Walker's been pretty bad. Honestly, since he returned, there's been talk about trades. I would say keep him for now, but maybe you do look to trade him at the deadline. And Jaylen Brown's been an all-star starter in my eyes. He's been absolutely insane on defense side of the ball. But there also is Drummond talks here, Blake Griffin talks here. So I don't know what you do if you want to kind of make a trade to get this team over the top. But you're 14 and 15. You beat the Nuggets, but before you were struggling. Kemba's been bad, and JT struggles, like I said. And I mean, Jaylen Brown's took in this best team in the role, and you don't have depth. You don't have big man play. You've lost to the Hawks, the Wizards, the Pistons, and the Hawks again. I mean, tough losses. You really got to turn it up, starting now. And number 12, the Indiana Pacers, same thing, 15 and 14. They started off great. They've also been a super up and down team. Brogdon's keeping them alive with their clutch game winners and game winning shots in these 4 games now. And the last night against T-Wolves, he had another game winner. Sabonis has been a beast, triple-double last night. He's been an all-star caliber play, 23 points and 10 boards. They're 5 assists. He's been a pretty good passer as well. He's really been balling out. They are 4-6 in the last 10. Like I said, they're pretty up and down. They have lost 1-2 in a row, but they lost to the Nets, which is fine. But you lose to the Bulls, the Jazz, that's fine. The Pels and the Bucks, but you beat the Pistons, beat the Hawks, beat the T-Wolves, beat the Grizzlies. You're beating the teams you're supposed to beat. You're beating the teams you're not supposed to win. But that's not a philosophy to be a good NBA team, in my opinion. I don't like when teams do that. Like Terry said that a couple days ago. You win the games at home, you lose the games on the road. No, you don't. You win the games on the road, you win the games at home. That's how you want to be a good NBA team, Terry. That's about the Blazers, if you don't know who Terry Stotts is. Yeah. Moving on. Number 11 is the Golden State Warriors. They're 16 and 13. Curry had a huge comeback win over the Heat last night. Curry is goated. Curry is still goated. He's an arguable MVP candidate. He's an all-star starter. And, man, this man is still the best shooter in the league. Yeah. And he's still probably as much as I hate to say it. I've gotten into a lot of arguments with people about this. I always comment Dame's the best point guard in the league. But in reality, I think Curry really is the best point guard in the entire league. And I think Damian Lillard is a solid second. But Stephen Curry's really been absolutely clutch for this team. Keeping them in games and winning them things every single night. And he's got them on a 16-13 clip, looking like they're going to make a playoffs, be a solid team. And they're definitely a top 8 team in the Western Conference. Wiggins and Oubre have started to step up, especially Wiggins. His defense has been insane. He's been an arguable all-star. Hey, Huskies play tonight. He's been an arguable all-star. And, Oubre's been struggling. I know that. But they split games with the Mavs and Spurs. They lost to the Nets, but wins over Heat, Magic, Cavs, Pistons. Big comeback last night. So you have no center play. You're very injury-prone. Draymond's been up and down. He's been great when he plays. He just hasn't played too much. Wiseman's on a way to return, but until then, you really got to hold you to the ground and stay about 500. Number 10 is the Spurs. They're 16 and 11. Yes, they are. COVID is now affecting them. They have to shut down for an entire week, which does suck. But DeMar is still a bucket. He's an arguable playoff. He's moved to that powerful position, and he's really embraced the role of being more of a passer, but he's still scoring in the mid-range like nobody else he does in this entire league. And guys, they're young guys. Keldon Johnson, maybe most improved player. He's been super, super great. Probably not, but he's been such a good basketball player. Devin Vassell's been stepping up. Keldon Johnson, like I said, he's just been so good. I love watching Keldon Johnson play, man. This man's been a steal in the draft. And does Pop have one last playoff run in him? I think he does. I think Pop has one more playoff chance. And it does suck to see them getting COVID affected, though. Moving on, number 9 is the Denver Nuggets. They're now 15 and 14, 2 straight L's to the Wizards tonight, or 15 and 13, 2 straight L's to the Wizards tonight and Celtics yesterday. Jokic is not tonight, last night, Celtics 2 nights ago. Jokic is still playing like an MVP, but he's had to put up 40 points a game. I mean, Jokic just dropped in 40. This team probably going to lose because that means you have no other scoring. Michael Porter Jr. sucked these last couple games. Jamal's been up and down. He had a crazy game against the Wizards, but they couldn't come back, and they're pretty banged up still, but MG pretty struggled. No Gary Harris for a while. Compazzo's starting, which isn't very good for this team, but yeah, Will Barnes been out, up and down. So you got to get healthy, and you got to turn around. MPJ's got to play great basketball, so does Jamal Murray to have them a chance in this playoffs. Number 8, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're on a 5-game losing streak now, dropping tonight to the Raptors. They've lost to the Thunder, Raptors, Suns, Jazz, and then the Raptors again. Milton's been in a slump. Holiday's been affected by COVID, so that hurts to see. He was their point guard. He was there building the team together. He was the glue that was making it work when they were 16 and 8. And Brooke Lopez has been playing terrible lately. Giannis is still playing great basketball, but he's not elevating his game to the next level. He still can't shoot, and he's not taking over games like we're used to him seeing. He really got to start doing that again. Middleton's been their closer, which is weird to see because Middleton isn't really a closer, known for his career. Yes, they're still going to be a playoff team. They're 16 and 13, but they got to really go back to what they were doing before. And that's why they're 8 behind teams in the Western Conference that are better than them as of now. Like number 7, the Portland Trailblazers. Now, yes, this could be an overreaction just because of our 6-game win streak, but we're 18 and 10. We're on a 6-game win streak. Still no CJ, still no Nurk. I hate the injury card. I don't like to use it, but I mean, if you're thinking about power ranking, you still have to take into account what Dame is doing for this team without those two other stars. Dame is an MVP in my eyes. Maybe he's second, but he's right there with Joel and LeBron for an MVP. He's averaging 30 a game. He's the clutchest player, maybe the clutchest player of his generation. And besides maybe MJ and Bird, he's maybe the clutchest all time. You could even argue that. Honestly, his clutch numbers are absolutely insane. He's hit so many game shots, and his shots in the clutch are insane. Like, his clutch stats are insanely insane. Like, you don't think clutch stats is a thing. It is a thing. And he is maybe the best clutch stats ever. And, so the defense is horrible. Second worst in the entire league. And that is a huge problem. I talk about it every night on my Koof Hoops channel and do Blazers post games. Make sure you guys check that out. But yeah, the defense is awful. Cantor can't guard the paint. No Nurkic, but Nurkic isn't a great defender either, and neither is our perimeter defense. Covington is holding this team together like glue with these blocks on defense and these steals, and so is DJ. But other than that, we cannot switch. We can't get over screens, and our defense has been so bad, just mostly because of Terry Stotts. Now maybe if we fire Terry now and hire a coach, this team can make a deep playoff run. But we're not going to do that. So I think our ceiling is probably second round exit as of now. But if we keep this up, we get our guys back, get healthy, and Hood and Stotts coaches a couple better games, we could be a real contender. And also, Hood's been out the last couple games as well. And I love to see Nas Little play good. And then the last thing about this team is Gary Trent Jr. has been an absolute bucket for us. I mean, this man is insane on the bench. I love watching Gary Trent Jr. play basketball. He is such a fun guy to watch. He's got his own shot now. He can pull up on his own. He's not even a spot up anymore. He can create his own shot. And I love to see it. Keeping over with him in the bubble. Averaging around 18 a game. And or 15 a game and 18 since he's just been gone. Or 20 since he's just been gone. Huge stuff from Gary. Love to see it. Number 6 is the Phoenix Suns, 17-10. So they were on a 7-game win streak. They were absolutely balling. Devin Booker was Player of the Week, but then they blew a 24-point lead to the Nets. They lost that game. Chris Paul tried to keep him in as much as possible. Booker had a down night there, but Chris Paul has stepped up his game a lot, and that's huge to see this team actually get points and assists. But really Harden came back on them, and he ended that game, and that was a tough loss. I actually might have put him higher, but number 6, they just blew a huge game, which it's a game you probably should win against a just hardened Nets. That's the only tough thing about this team. But Mikal's still playing great basketball. Keldon Johnson's still playing great basketball, and I love Dario Saric is back finally, and I love to see Chris Paul score buckets and assists, and Devin Booker starting to play great basketball as well. I love to see it. And this team is a really good team. They beat the Sixers, they beat the Bucks, they beat the Celtics. These are all great wins, and the next one would have been an even good one as well. But you lose that one, unfortunately, 17-10. You're right there, though. You're right there. Number 5, the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, they were 14-0 when all their starters played. And then now they've lost 3 straight with the full lineup. They lost to the Blazers without Dame. Then they lost to the Blazers again with Dame. They lost to the Suns. They did beat Brooklyn, which is a good win. But, I mean, this team, Ben Simmons has been playing super, super great. You can't fault this team at all. I mean, they're still 19-10. They're top of the Eastern Conference. The team is super, super, super good. Joel Embiid is an MVP. Ben Simmons is playing great defense and great passing. He's going to probably be top 5 in assists in the league. His defense is insane. He's taking a step back scoring, which is okay because Tobias Harris and Seth Curry stepped up and took in that role themselves, both averaging around 15 and Tobias around 20 a game. These two have been balling. And with Joel Embiid complementing this team and Curry on the shooting and Shake Milton when he gets healthy, this team is really, really scary. And I think they could be the team that comes out of the Eastern Conference at the end of the year. But the team right ahead of them is the Brooklyn Nets, who's 18-12, playing a game against the LA Lakers right now, which could be a huge win for them. No KD, no AD, so it's pretty evenly matched. They got out of their slump finally after the Pistons lost. They're now 4-0. No KD, no problem anymore. At first, it kind of was a problem, and then no Kyrie last night. It was just James Harden, man. James Harden balled out. He's still insane. Shows what he can do in Houston. Crazy coming back, win over the Suns, like I said, and wins over Warriors, Pacers as well. They could get a big win here over LeBron tonight, which would be really, really big over the really good Lakers team, who I think is slightly better than them. And yeah, I mean, they're really. They had that stretch where they lost a couple in a row to the Pistons as well, and now they finally started to turn it around after we saw them win their first 5 games with the Big 3. So yeah, they're right there in the top of the Eastern Conference. Number 3, it's the Los Angeles Clippers. Now they're winning games without PG and Kawhi, which is huge. Now yes, they lost to the who did they lose to last night? To the Jazz. They lost to the Jazz last night, which is the Jazz is the best team in basketball, which is not a terrible win or a terrible loss. Now, you have no PG and Kawhi for the last couple games. PG's been out for like 6 games. Kawhi's been out for 2 games. But Lou Will's been a huge sign. He's been absolutely balling out for this team, playing insane basketball. Lou Will, he's doing his thing, back to looking like 6th man of the year, dropping 20, 25 a night in these games where these guys have been out. Yeah, the young guys have been playing great. Amir Kofi had a huge game last night. And they beat the team they should beat, which is really what matters for a team without your stars. If you're beating the team you should beat without your stars, you're still going to be there when your stars get back. You beat the team you also shouldn't beat. So, yeah, they were right there, 21-8. Maybe they'll drop a couple more without Kawhi and PG, but both these guys are all-stars. Certified buckets. Serge, Batum, Lou Will have all started to play great basketball, and they're top of the Western Conference. If the Lakers lose, they will be second in the Western Conference. And at number 2, the Los Angeles Lakers, like I just said. But LeBron's playing like an MVP. He's been absolutely insane. He's looking like one of the clutchest players as well. He's closing out games, getting defensive plays, doing all this great stuff, and he's looking like the best player in the league still, and he might be an MVP. But the problem here is Anthony Davis. What are the concerns? Quad injury. How long does that mean? We don't know. Probably till after the All-Star game, which could be the drop a couple here to close out this stretch. And also, even before his injury, what is he as good as we thought? He's averaging 22 and 12, which is still pretty good, but his efficiency isn't as good. He's taking some dumber shots than normal, and LeBron is taking dumb shots as well. So they just got to find his mojo back like he did in the bubble and be that guy. Be that maybe the number one option some games like he was in the bubble. He took the scoring away from LeBron, and he was the guy. And they're 8-2 in the last 10, so you can't really fault them at all. Their only losses are to Detroit and Denver, and around a 7-game win streak before those 2 losses, Denver and Detroit. So, yeah, Detroit does hurt to lose to, but you also beat Detroit, and you're 8-2 in your last 10. You're 22-7 overall, so you really can't fault this team at all for what they're doing. They're playing great basketball. Utah Jazz, oh my goodness, this team is absolutely insane. 24-5. They're 20-1 in their last 20. Oh my goodness, this team is so good. They had that 12-game win streak. Now they're on an 8-game win streak. Oh, I love watching the Utah Jazz play basketball. I love watching the Utah Jazz play basketball. They're maybe the funnest team in the league to watch as of right now, except for maybe the Blazers because of what they've done in the clutch. But this team is the best shooting three-point team of all time. Maybe? Question mark? I think they could really be the best shooting team of all time. Jordan Clarkson just dropped 40. He's the sixth man of the year in my eyes. Guaranteed he will win this award. Chuck thinks he should be an all-star. Honestly, not a terrible take as bad as some people making it seem. He has been playing super great basketball, averaging like 22 on the bench. And they beat the Clippers without Kawhi as well, which is a solid win, but no Kawhi, no PG. You beat the Bucks, you beat the Heat, you beat the Pacers. Mike Conley has been out with COVID, which is fine. And guys like Gobert, who's been the best defensive player in the league, maybe, who's been an all-star. Carson, Ingles, Bogdanovich, Royce O'Neal hit some huge shots at the end of some games. These guys are all stepping up and playing great basketball to really help this team be the best team they can be, and that's why they are atop of my power rankings, 24-5, first in the Western Conference. This team is the best team in basketball. That's it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. This is a pretty long episode, but thank you. That'll be it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, like the video, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. Peace.